Hey everybody, Chairman here. Last weekend at the BSFO, there was a really interesting ruling about a specific card interaction. I say interesting because even though the ruling was very straightforward, it took a long time for the players to wrap their heads around that this was actually how the cards were supposed to work. And to me, that says something about maybe the fundamental understanding that some players might have about the game if a ruling like this seems counterintuitive. I would like to demonstrate the card interaction today, but unfortunately, I don't have the cards that were used in the actual scenario last week. So I'll be setting up a scenario very similar with cards that I own in a bit of like a puzzle form. I'm going to ask you guys how you would be able to solve this puzzle, and we'll see if you guys can solve it. The puzzle that I'm setting up will be using the same principle as the interaction from last week, but with completely different cards. First off, we will have a 1-1 hand encore that gets power for every other Sharo or Chia character on the board. 2 copies of the level 1 combo. 2 copies of a Brainstorm that has startup assigned 500 power somewhere. And you're at level 1 with 1 stock and 6 hand. The most important card in your hand is going to be this 1-0 Cocoa counter. It's a 1k counter, and when you use the counter, there's an auto ability where you can pay 1, choose a character from your field, send it to waiting room, and then you can choose one of your opponent's characters that has higher level than their level, send that to the waiting room, and then they can summon a level 0 from the waiting room in its place. For your opponent's board, across this lane, they will have a character that has 8,000 power, which is 500 more than this 1-1 Sharo. Across this lane, they will have a character with 5,000 power, which is 500 over this Sharo. And across this lane, they will have a 2-2 character that has been stood out at level 1. In addition, in your opponent's waiting room, there is only a level 0 drop search card that they can summon out if you were to anti-change. Let's say your opponent attacks this lane first. How would you be able to keep all your lanes on the board while reversing all of your opponent's lanes at the same time? So I'll give you guys some time to think. You can pause the video, and when you guys think you're ready, you can start the video and I will demonstrate the answer. Alright, so this puzzle is actually pretty simple. I made it so that there's only one correct answer, but in order to solve it, you do need to understand how to resolve auto abilities in a specific order. So obviously, your opponent's attacking here, so you need a counter. So the counter step happens, and you're forced to play this counter. The counter goes into waiting room. Next thing you do is use the counter's effect. You pay 1, sack a character from the stage to the waiting room. You'll sack this 1-1, and then you will anti-change this column. Next thing, you will resolve the encore effect by discarding a card to summon the 1-1 character back onto stage, rested position, and then you will resolve the assigned 500 powers of both your back rows to give this card 1k power. So obviously the key to this puzzle is being able to assign the power after the encore character comes back onto the stage. Even though the encore effect happens after the counter effect, you're still able to do it in this order because of the way auto abilities work in standby. So when an auto ability goes into standby, it's put into this pool of abilities. And you can choose any of those abilities that you want to resolve first. When the character gets sent to the waiting room, the encore ability, which is an auto effect, goes on to standby. And you can choose to resolve that first, even though you have other abilities that are currently still on standby. Well, I hope that was a very informative lesson on Weiss mechanics and rulings. Good job if you got the question right. And I might be doing more ruling questions like this in the future just to explain some of the more intricacies of how Weiss gameplay can be. All right, see you guys next time.